Robert Stack played crime fighter Elliot Ness on The Untouchables from 1959 to 1963. That role made an impression on a real-life gangster when Stack visited his singer girlfriend.
I found something in doing that show that gangsters are the biggest handballs in the whole world. I had one thing happen to me. I went backstage to see Phyllis McGuire, and I noticed an eyeball looking at me from behind the door, and so I went to the gents' room, and it was a little guy with a pork pie hat, and I realized it was Sam Giancana, head of Murder Incorporated and Public Enemy #1. Yeah. And the long and short of it was I talked to Phyllis a short time later, and she said, you know what happened? You saw Mo behind the door? I said, yeah. You know what he did? He went back to Chicago and told the boys he'd put one over on Elliot Ness. Now here's a guy who's a real killer, and here's a guy who puts makeup on who's an actor, and he thinks that I'm really Elliot Ness. Ooh, it gets weird out there, I gotta tell you.
Growing up, Stack was very close with actor Clark Gable, who befriended him after Stack's father died.
Clark was very close to being like a father. And I still had no ambition to become an actor, but he did give me that one wonderful line. He said, you're going to be an actor. I said, try. He said, okay, you're going to be a pro, show up on time, know your lines, don't screw up the author's intention, and if you ever become a celebrity, a word that I hate, and you use that celebrity to make people unhappy, I'm going to kick you right in the butt. Now, but that's something I remembered all of my life, and so someone said, you had no ego. I said, I don't dare, because he's going to come down and kick me right in the butt if I do. He was a great guy.
Stack showed off his comedy skills in the 1980 hit Airplane, but the filmmakers had a hard time convincing him to do the movie.
They really did. They came after me for about 2.5 years, and I kept saying, fellas, you sound like Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney. Let's put a show on in the garage. I said, no one's got any money. All three are going to direct it. My wife kept saying, I think it's funny. I said, yeah, I think it's funny, but I mean, come on already. It's our first picture, and of course, I finally said I would do it under great trepidation, and of course it turned out to make $100 million, and they offered me a piece, and I didn't take the piece, and that goes to show how terribly clever I am.
Stack hosted the real-life crime-solving show Unsolved Mysteries from the late 80s to the 90s.
You can usually tell, Mark, if a show works if you walk through an airport and people recognize you at the airport. If they don't, you're in deep trouble. If you got a show they recognize, they go, hey, how are you? Good to see you. This has a different kind of an impact. People are truly touched by these shows because the people are for real. They're alive. The criminals are real. The criminals are caught, hopefully.
Do you ever get any mail or any telephone calls from them?
No, there hasn't been too much enthusiasm from them. There hasn't been like, gee whiz, thanks a lot. I'm glad Elliot Ness put me away. No, I never got any of that. I'm not being funny now. There was one fellow who said, hey, have you got a bulletproof vest? And I said, no. He said, you're doing the Medellin cartel. You're putting their faces up there. I said, yeah. He said, these guys don't like to have their faces on television. You got a lot of insurance. I said, they're not going to waste their time on an actor. They'll wipe out the producer. I mean, an actor is just hired help, you know, so that's the way it's pretty much been.